As many of you know, today at 2:45, I'm going to join Vice President Biden and other mayors in a Google Hangout to talk about gun violence. Our conversation will take place as the U.S. Senate prepares to vote on amendments that could either strengthen or derail the federal gun control legislation that has been proposed. It's absolutely critical that the Republican amendments are defeated. To that end, my colleagues and I will talk about the important, meaningful federal legislation. This is going to be important for all American cities. Over the past decade, Baltimore has seen significant decline in violent crime, but violent crime remains persistent in too many of our communities. Through the Great Recession, despite deep budget deficits, we made public safety a priority. No police officer positions were cut, and we invested in effective technology to further reduce crime. But we're still struggling to find ways to take illegal guns off the streets. We know the guns are not coming from here. Baltimore has one gun shop, one gun store. The rest come from up and down I-95. This year, the Maryland General Assembly passed a historic gun legislation package which will make our city and our state safer, but our gun laws are only as good as those of our neighbors. That's why we need the federal government to pass legislation to increase background checks, to ban military-style assault weapons, and to crack down on the sale and distribution of guns to criminals. We need the Senate to take action now. The president, like most Americans, believes the Second Amendment guarantees an individual the right to bear arms. And like most Americans, he also believes that right comes with the responsibility to take all reasonable steps that we can to ensure that guns are safely used and that they don't fall into the wrong hands. The president has said repeatedly, while there is no law or set of laws that can prevent every senseless act of violence completely, if there is even one thing that we can do to reduce this violence, if even one life can be saved, we have an obligation to try. I agree with the president, and he's put forward a specific plan based on those recommendations to protect our children and our communities by reducing gun violence. He announced 23 executive actions as part of his plan to reduce violence, but those executive actions can't replace legislative action on Capitol Hill. The American people have made it clear that it is time to do something. And over the past few weeks, senators in Washington have listened and have taken some big steps forward. Today, we hope they can come together in support of meaningful legislation. And right now, I think we have a real opportunity, a real chance, if they do so, to reduce gun violence in America and make our city safer. So thank you very much. I want to thank Councilman Curran for being here today, and I have time for a few questions.
Mayor, the speed cameras have been shut down. Do you still have confidence in the system, and what do you say to people who question the ability of the system to be accurate and fair?
So what we know is every day people are speeding. They're speeding on the streets, they're speeding near our schools, and they're endangering our kids. We also know that speed cameras reduce speeding in school zones, but we need to make sure, as I've said repeatedly, that the cameras are accurate all the time. Last fall, we created a task force and chose a new vendor to operate the system, and we did so with those goals in mind, to reduce speeding and to make sure we get it right. The Department of Transportation in the transition and the implementation with this new vendor discovered clerical mistakes. As a result, they suspended the program on Monday. I think it's the right decision. I would expect nothing less from them. I promised we would get this right, and it is the Department of Transportation's obligation as the agency that's overseeing that to make sure that we get it right. If they see something wrong, today, yesterday, or in the future, I expect them to make the correct action that would generate support, not just support, but trust in the system, that we're not going to stand by knowing that there was a mistake. I don't think it's in anybody's interest, and certainly not the interest of our children who are trying to remain safe, to have a system that has errors in it. So we'll continue to be vigilant. We know, we've seen that crime cameras are an effective tool, but we also know that in order for them to be effective over the long run, in order for there to continue to be support for this greater goal of keeping our kids safe, it has to be accurate, and we have to get it right. No city anywhere has the resources to put police officers in every place that we know people are speeding near school zones. And because of that, technology has to step in. We need technology that can be an effective tool over the long haul, so we can ensure that we protect kids. I'm going to continue to put pressure on the Department of Transportation to improve the program and to get it right. Because at the end of the day, while this may seem sometimes I think this story gets small. It almost seems like a gotcha. But I'm not afraid of making mistakes. I'm afraid if we don't correct them. And right now, it's about correcting mistakes because the lives of our kids, the safety of our kids are too important.
Under the new cameras, do you know how many invalid tickets have been issued that the city believes are invalid?
I don't know the number, and I'm not going to have time for a whole lot of questions because I'm meeting with DOT right after this.
Okay.
And then get to the bottom of that.
The police consultant contract, Brandon Scott, the councilman, has raised concerns about various issues with that contract, including that it's going to the highest bidder. I'd like to get your thoughts about the matter.
I have a lot of respect for Councilman Scott. He cares deeply about the communities and the safety of the citizens in his district and throughout the city. I certainly respect his position as vice chair of the City Council's Public Safety Committee. And I look forward to working with him and any member of the council as we talk about ways that we can continue to make the city safer. I have confidence that Commissioner Batts can lead the department and create a safer city. I also know that in order for him to do that, sometimes he needs tools that aren't within the department, and I would like him to have the flexibility and the autonomy to seek those skills not the skills, but the resources that he believes that he needs to create a safer city.
But how about the fact that there are lower bids coming in?
I don't believe that the nature of the contract, the consultant's contract, is the type that where the lowest bid is automatically the one that you should go to. This is about making sure that we get it right, not necessarily making sure that we save a few bucks on this end.
Mayor, go ahead.
Regarding the red line, there's been some criticism and questions about the alignment of the red line on Boston Street. Those questions have been brought to your attention by Senator Ferguson, I believe. There's also been talk about a streetcar network in place of the eastern alignment along Boston Street. What are your thoughts on the red line and specifically the Boston Street corridor?
I forgot to say one thing in response to Luke's question. There was an independent panel that reviewed all the consultant contracts and chose the consultant that we're going with. And the state, because of the importance of public safety in Baltimore, and because we've had a great partnership with the state, they are looking to pick some of that cost up, or a lot of that cost up. So those are the factors that are also considered in weighing which way to go with the panel. And it's very important that we move forward when it comes to mass transportation in the city. Sometimes when I take a look at cities that have been able to grow and to prosper, you take a look at their transportation infrastructure. And vibrant cities have a vibrant mass transportation. A lot of them have incredible subway systems. Sometimes they have a trolley system, but they have something. And they certainly have more than what we have in Baltimore. I sometimes, as I look at what we have today and think about, you always hindsight is 20/20, what could have been possible. I wish, that you can go back in time and say, we need more transportation. As you're doing this, we should also consider these things so we would be in a position to grow. I don't want to be in that position, the city to be in that position 30 years from now, when we have an opportunity to do something that will help the city to grow, to help the region to grow, that we let it get bogged down in disputes, that we don't do anything. So I'm determined to be supportive of the Red Line, to continue to be in dialogue with the impacted communities, but to also understand that there's no guarantee if the Red Line, as it stands, is derailed, that this project, this next alternative will happen. And I just feel like that sort of thing is what has prevented us from having the type of transportation system that I think the city and the region deserves. You haven't had a chance to ask a question, unless you want to defer to your colleague.
I would like to ask about the $107 million TIF request that's on your desk right now for the Harbor Point.
Not on my desk yet.
Okay, well, it's heading your way from the DDC. So could you talk a little bit about that, and will you support that, and also, is there a need for that much money for the city right now?
So I think what do you mean? Need for the TIF, or are you saying that I should just ask, just take the $1.7 million?
No.
No. So what are you asking me? I don't
I'm
understand.
asking about, will you support the TIF
So,
request?
right.
And
so
is there a need when you have the developer, wealthy developers and also wealthy corporations that are developing down there, to ask for such a break?
So despite the perceived wealth of a developer or the company, the project itself has to be profitable and the numbers have to work. We have the possibility of creating jobs and to keep a major corporation in the city of Baltimore with this project. And I'm depending on the work of the BDC and its board to do the analysis, and the Finance Committee to do analysis of the what-for test, and to see if this project, but for this TIF, would this project be able to go forward? And I'm looking to hear their decision. I haven't received that yet, and to evaluate it so I can make the decision to move forward. It's an important project for the city of Baltimore. It's important for that part of the city which is providing jobs, which is growing, to continue to do so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.